right, good morning and welcome to our Believing in Girls Luncheon. My name is Kiara Mitchell and I started my PACE journey when I was 14 years old. After PACE, I graduated from Southeast High School and I went to Manatee Technical College for dental assisting. As you can see, I'm here on my lunch break. Thank you. In January, I started the hygiene program at SCF, so if any of you need a hygienist. Even 9 years after I left PACE, I still think about the lessons I learned almost every single day. PACE taught me the importance of showing up. As we all know, if you don't show up, the PACE van will pull up and pick you up and we'll be back at school. So we know that we have to show up for life or life will just pass us by. My confidence exploded. I used to be afraid to speak up, ask questions in class. Now that we know asking questions is a sign of strength, not weakness. Yeah. I'm here today because I had the opportunity to learn and grow. So you see a lot of girls who, like me, literally jump at the chance to be with you all today, to really share how our lives changed because of PACE. This is something we want to do, we love to do, because PACE means so much to us. So please enjoy your lunch and we'll continue the program. Thank you all for coming.
My name is Amy McManus, and I'm the Executive Director at PACE Center for Girls of Manatee County. We are grateful that you are here today to learn more about our girls, and most specifically about PACE girls. Thank you to the former PACE girls who are here today. Our PACE success stories. They answered my call to be here as living proof of what we do at PACE. Just like all of you, these women changed their work schedules, sacrificed their lunch break, Kiara, and rearranged childcare to be here today to show you just how big of impact PACE has had on their lives here in Manatee County. For some, it has been 15 years since they attended PACE. Others just 2 years ago. But the gratitude for the opportunities that PACE gave them to change the trajectory of their life is the same. Ladies, I was honored to be with you on that very first day you walked through the doors of PACE and throughout your journey. But there are no words to convey how proud I am to live and work beside you in our community. To know me is to understand that I am a data freak. For those of you who have completed the DISC assessment, I am all green. Data always tells a story. We may not like the story it tells, but nonetheless, there it is. This year, the Girls Index published their second large-scale research endeavor of what girls think, believe, perceive, and need. This study illustrates that girls are faring far worse than ever before, and this decline is most evident with our 5th to 8th grade girls. The data shows 39% of girls, only 39% of girls feel as if they belong at their school and that they can really be themselves. 69% of high school girls say that most girls their age send sexually suggestive pictures or videos to one another. 61% report that they often stay up all night doing what? Using their phones. And 79% of girls say they are ready to explode because of the pressure they feel. Most specifically, extreme sadness has tripled since the 2017 for Girls study in grades 5th and 6th grade. For our PACE girls, these ordinary challenges of being a girl are confronted by more startling realities. From the girls we served last year at PACE, 85% report being antisocial, 35% self-mutilate, and 45% have considered suicide. 19% have a deceased parent, and 74% have a family member with a criminal history. This is why PACE is so important to our community. Every girl, in spite of her life circumstances, deserves the opportunity for a safe place to learn and grow. While this information may paint a bleak picture, the answer was really in the heart of one woman. Vicki Burke, our founder, with only the support of her husband and father-in-law, started PACE Center for Girls in Jacksonville, Florida, in response to the alarming rate of incarceration and institutionalization of girls in Florida. Starting with just 10 girls, she talks about walking to the post office box, hoping and praying there'd be a check for $50 so she could keep the program going. In 1989, through the vision and support of this community and the leadership of Judge Durand Adams, who, by the way, is here today, Manatee County was the first county to get a PACE Center for Girls after Jacksonville. Today, we are in 21 communities throughout Florida, with expansion into Georgia and South Carolina, and we operate a $70 million budget annually. So when you think to yourself, what can one person really do? Remember Vicki Burke. So what did Vicki know about girls? We are girls, we're relational. We do or don't do things in our lives based upon the relationships in our lives. And oftentimes those relationships are so much more important than any rules, work, or school. I say, wouldn't it be nice if we had a row of lockers outside of PACE, and as the girls walked in, they could put everything that happened to them in those lockers. If they slept last night, what was on social media, fights with boyfriends, family problems, all that stuff. And just lock it up and go to class and focus on math and English. That's not how girls work. We bring everything that happens to us in our lives to every situation. That's what makes us so fabulous. And in this day and age, when our entire country is grappling with how to ensure that schools are not only meeting the educational needs of students, but also the social emotional needs as well, we knew, and Vicki certainly knew, that we must give our girls a safe place to start again, to develop brand new coping skills and flourish. That concept of a 12 or 14-year-old girl having to start again, that always gives me pause. Why and how? What should PACE do, and what should I do? PACE girls teach me lessons on resiliency that are unparalleled. Most PACE girls are 2 years behind academically, and the enormity of that mountain to climb cannot be understated. Dropping out of school is a very real option. In fact, we know that 90% of children who are 2 years behind in school do drop out. Yet each PACE girl makes the decision to come to PACE and chip away at that mountain. This may mean negotiating their own transportation to and from school each day, begging for rides, or riding the bus 3+ hours one way. Class by class, day by day, credit by credit, our PACE girls persist in their schoolwork. Our girls put their hope in PACE, that we will see their behavior as a direct response to life challenges, that we will understand that yelling and screaming is a cry for help, and that we really need to hear what they are saying. That being absent from school doesn't mean they are lazy and do not care, Often it means they have important family responsibilities. They feel isolated and alone at school, or they are too anxious to face the day. Hope that PACE will believe in them until they are ready to believe in themselves. When I first came to PACE, I asked a colleague what her job was, and what she said impacted my life forever. She said, "I change lives every day." And I truly mean every day for the past 28 years. It has been my honor to help girls change their lives. But what I want the PACE girls here to know, it is you who have changed my life. Today, I want you to see how extraordinary our PACE girls are, how they value PACE, not as a guarantee for a better future, but as an opportunity for them to change the trajectory of their young lives. Mr. Horn took some of my thunder, but I'm going to say it anyways. He is like that. When we built our PACE building on 26th Street in 1996, we were just beginning to use technology as part of our educational process. We had maybe 10 girls in each classroom. Social media did not exist. Our reality did not envision school safety as it is today, and we certainly could not have anticipated the magnitude of mental health challenges for girls that were already at a rising, alarming rate pre-pandemic and now are at a critical tipping point. You may drive down 26th Street now and wonder, where is that PACE building? I'm proud to say that under the leadership of Amanda and John Horn, we have raised $6 million of our $6.5 million capital campaign. Construction will start on our new home in 2024, God willing. That should really be zoning willing. And we will have a facility that our girls deserve. But while our building may change to keep up with the girls' needs, the foundation upon which Vicki Burke built PACE will remain the same. My hope is that each of you will consider, what can one person do? What can you do? What can I do? Now we would like to share and hope you will listen to some of our current PACE girls' stories.
I'm Michaela. I started PACE May 18, 2022, and I was 12 years old. I started PACE July 27, 2021.
I'm Jocelyn, and I've been at PACE since June.
Okay, so I came to PACE last summer from Palmetto High, and Palmetto was like, it wasn't really a great fit for me. I was really lost there at regular school because I felt like I didn't have anybody.
I got in trouble when my grades were slipping and I was fighting and being distracted.
I felt self-doubt about my appearance and my way of doing work, like education-wise.
I was doing online at Bayshore during COVID, and I wasn't getting the proper attention that I needed. Asking questions was hard for me in school. The teachers, they weren't like really focused to the kids on the computers. They were mostly focused on the class in person. PACE is different from Palmetto because I feel more loved here. It's in a smaller setting, and I get help more easily. Like, I can always ask for help.
You get more help, more attention that you need, and all the teachers are good and they understand what problems you're having and what problems you're facing.
Here at PACE, it's a lot different than regular school because in regular school, they have, you go to 7 classes each day, and here you go to 6 classes, but they're more interactive since you're with the same people all day.
My academic advisor is Miss Christopher. I just love her. She helps me with knowing all my credits and GPA, and she helps me with our roadmap. She helps me create goals that I can achieve.
I'm not very good at setting like short-term goals. Like my long-term goal is obviously to get credits and graduate, but I feel like I need that someone to tell me, oh, you should complete this in 2 weeks, and then I'll do that. Such as like getting 2 assignments done in biology or getting 5 assignments done in English.
My counselor, Miss Yolanda, she has a motherly instinct that kids need.
Okay, so things Miss Yolanda taught me. She taught me a lot of things. Like, work harder. Like, work harder for myself, not just for, like, other people. She always pushed me to be more positive and actually have a better mindset for myself instead of always thinking negatively, like, I won't be able to do this, I'm nothing, and stuff like that. So I feel like she really helped me grow as a person and to think better about myself and other people.
She helps me with my stress levels and how we could not make ourselves so overworked and stressed out all the time.
If you just keep stuff in, your emotions and everything, one day they'll just explode. So having a counselor as an emotional support system and kind of like a cheerleader is very important to being a PACE girl and being a person in general.
In April, my mom found out that she had stage 4 cancer, and every day I came to school grieving about it. And I would go to Miss Yolanda and explain to her everything that happened, and Miss Yolanda will call and check in on my family, on my mom, or go out and make sure that everyone's okay. And I really appreciate her for that.
If I haven't found PACE, I would probably be dropped out because of my absences. I didn't think school was that important.
I used to do crazy stuff that you wouldn't see like a normal girl do. I really just thought I'd be dead or in jail somewhere, like, or just laying in my bed, just hopeless, ready to give up.
I don't think I would have finished school or graduate.
I never thought about graduating, really. I really just thought, oh, I'll just be at like a 9 to 5. I'll still make money.
I was more focused on education than making friends, so I only had 3 friends. And at Bayshore, when I got into 9th grade, I was only focused on socializing. So now I found like a balance, and now I get A's and I get my work done and I get my credits and everything, as well as having multiple friends in the group.
I plan on graduating in August, and after I want to go either for nursing in the Army, or I wanted to go to MTC for a licensed practical nurse.
I want to be a homicide detective. And now I actually have a goal for myself, and I feel like I earned that because I grew more. And these are things that I wanted to do when I was younger, but I never actually really put my mind towards doing that because I always felt like I was never going to get there. Because I always had that negative mindset, like, you're never going to get there, like, you're not going to do it. And now I'm actually proud of myself because I'm actually reaching my goal. I'm actually putting my mind to what I want to do because that's something that I feel like I deserve.
My goal is to go to Manti High School, earn all my credits, be either on the JRTC squad or join their cheer team.
I want to be happy, successful, and yeah, my goal is to buy my mom a house one day.
Thank you so much for being here today. That was a pretty amazing video the girls put together, am I right? You know, it really takes a great deal of courage for these girls to be able to freely speak their truth out loud, much less for it to be heard by a room full of strangers. It truly inspires me. My name is Raina, and I was once one of those girls. 16 years ago, I came to PACE as a lost, broken, angry, insecure, and rebellious 15-year-old girl. I did not enroll at PACE by choice. I would have much rather been somewhere at Braid River or Lakewood Ranch where all my friends were and where I could get away with just about anything. Unfortunately, I didn't have a great track record with attending public schools, as classes were basically optional in my opinion, and if I could get away with it, I was bound to skip. Furthermore, I was behind all my peers academically by this point, so I really had no drive or motivation to go to school. So, at the decision of my daddy dearest, I became a PACE girl. While at first I was not thrilled with this arrangement, with time I started to become more accepting of the help that PACE had to offer. To truly understand the value of the foundation PACE laid for me in becoming the woman I am today, you first have to understand the person I used to be and where I come from. I was conceived out of chaos, and thus I was born into chaos. My parents loved each other. I apologize. My parents loved each other and me very much, but my mother struggled with addiction that stemmed from being sick. By the time I was born, the home was already broken, and the trauma train choo-chooed its way through my life. For much of my early adolescence, I was abused, verbally, physically, and sexually by different men who took advantage of my mother. Despite her efforts to love and protect me, her addiction often led her into the arms of bad people. And yet somehow she was the only person I ever felt safe with. 3 weeks shy of my 7th birthday, my mom had a heart attack and died at the age of 39 years old. I went on to be raised by my dad, who was established in his career at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and was just given the impossible duty to have to raise me on his own. If you could ask him which job was harder, I can guarantee he would say it was raising me. From that point forward, everything about life became unimportant to me, and I only started to live in survival mode. Fast forward to my preteen and teenage years. Navigating life as a girl without a mom for me was like trying to pass a sobriety test after one too many drinks. It was blurry, confusing, painful, and filled with anger and rage. I tried to run off every woman my dad tried to love because in my head they would never amount to anything. So I grew up with very little healthy female influence. I hated my father. I resented him for so many ridiculous reasons, and I blamed him for every wrong thing in my life, even the things that were not his fault. This made living even more difficult for everyone. My dad only tried to do what he thought was best for me, even when some of those things weren't the best and he couldn't see it. His intentions were always out of love and protection, but I only saw them as trying to control me. By the time I made it to middle school, I was making very poor choices. The summer before 6th grade was the first time I took a sharp object to my wrist and started cutting myself. It was in the 6th grade when I smoked my first cigarette, I drank my first beer, took my first shot of Goldschlager, and smoked my first joint. I barely made it through the 6th grade without failing. Halfway through my first semester of 7th grade, I had gone so far down the wrong path that my dad ended up sending me to a residential program for troubled teen girls. And there I spent the next 22 months, left with feelings of abandonment and more brokenness. But all I had to do was just survive it. I graduated my residential program in August of 2007. And this is when I started my journey at Manatee Pace Center for Girls. I had just spent almost 2 years living with only girls, so coming to an all-girls school was not in my top 10 favorite ideas. But alas, Pace became my safe space. When girls like me have been set up for failure by life's unfortunate events, Pace provides a place and people who help set us up for success. There is no option of skipping school when you're a Pace girl. There will be a staff member at your door before 9 a.m. if you try to play hooky. Pace is big on self-accountability like that. Class sizes are kept small in order to provide more one-on-one academic time between teachers and students. This was huge for me because doing book work was dull and boring to me, so having the interaction with my teachers with real help improved the way I learned. Doing group projects with my peers made learning fun. Having classes like Spirited Girls made learning and sharing feel safe. My grades went from D's to A's and B's. My attitude about learning changed. Most importantly, I was never made to feel like I was dumb, even when I had moments of struggle. Kindness, accountability, patience, perseverance, encouragement, and grace. These are the things I learned at Pace because these were the things I received from the people at Pace. Pace is not just limited to their academic curriculum. In fact, in my opinion, I don't even think it's the most important thing about Pace. If you were to ask me, the most important thing about Pace is how they help their girls with real life. Every student is assigned both an academic advisor and a mental health guidance counselor. Or if you're me, I had both of those and a therapist. This is huge. Because without a healthy, functional mental state, there is no healthy, functional life. I was taught that I am not defined by what has happened to me, and I was not responsible for fixing my dad. I was reminded of the girl power I possess, and was taught how to channel that power for good. I was encouraged to go after the things that set my soul on fire, and how to empower others to do the same. At Pace, giving up isn't an option. We weren't allowed to say the words, "I can't." And when things got heavy, someone was always there to help carry the load. Life got really beautiful after Pace. I went on to get my GED at 17 in 2010, and I truly fell in love for the first time by the age of 18. Soon after, I became pregnant and had my son in September of 2011. It was fast, and I was young, but we were so excited to be a family of 3. Thank you. Then tragedy struck my life again in December of 2011, when the three of us were rear-ended in a car accident. Our 3-month-old sustained a traumatic brain injury that he recovered from by the grace of God, but the life of his daddy was taken from us. I found myself in that same old familiar place of darkness. The weight of sadness was just too great to bear. But I was never alone, as my Pace family never stopped supporting me, guiding me, and loving me, even after moving on from high school. Pace was still there to hold me up until I was able to even think about surviving again. I'd find myself at the school with my infant son in Miss Randy's office on days that I just couldn't bear to be alone. This is because here we are family. And once a Pace girl, always a Pace girl. Today, I am 19 days from my 31st birthday, and I am thriving. Thank you. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful, talented, and smart children. My relationship with my dad is better today than it has ever been in my entire life, even though it took all of my 20s to repair, and I'm still learning to use the tools Pace provided me with to only keep getting stronger and growing and healing. I successfully own my own business as a traditional home birth attendant and holistic birth doula. My life's work is built on empowering women, providing women with a safe space to make choices of their own for childbirth. I support mothers as they take charge of their autonomy, and I watch and help women bring forth new life in the comfort of their own homes. Because supporting women is what saved my life. Pace taught me to go after my dreams, no matter the obstacles, and so I did. And believe me, there have been some serious obstacles. Before I go, I would like to acknowledge a very important person here today. I was given the opportunity to bring a +1, and I chose the man who I once hated so deeply. A man whose day today was already booked, but he made it happen anyway. Dad, thank you for always being there for me, even when it didn't feel like it. I know you love me, and I love you.
Hi, good afternoon. For those, there's a handful of you in here who I'm pretty sure know me, but if you don't, my name is Scott Kemp. Yes, Teresa, it's the one you know. My name was printed in the program, so you probably should know my name by now anyway. I was asked to come and give I think the program says my family's story, but it's going to be a snippet of my family's story because the problem is you can't limit a preacher's kid who likes to talk and doesn't mind public speaking to only 5 minutes. So my apologies if I go over by about 1 minute and 24 seconds. Anyway, I met Wendy when she was, so I have to give you a little bit of a backstory obviously, but I met Wendy when she was 3, almost 4 years old, when her mother Amy and I started dating around Christmas in 1996. 2 years later, we were married, and very shortly thereafter, in early 1999, an opportunity to adopt Wendy and her slightly older sister, who happens to be with me today, was presented. And this is a scenario that I never fathomed happening, but I was excited about it, and without hesitation, the process to effect an adoption was started. It was only about 2.5 weeks later, and because I was a legal step-parent at that point, that I was now legally responsible for 2 daughters. And wow, talk about instant fatherhood. I would be lying if I said I had no trepidation about legally parenting at times, but I was raised by 2 wonderful parents, and because of that, I minimized my fears by telling myself, I've got this. Or did I? For about the first 10 years of being a father and a husband, we led a relatively normal family life, to include the addition of a baby brother in 2002. As Advanced through elementary and middle school, all seemed well, but as her high school years approached, so did troubled times. Wendy's academic performance began to decline, and she got to a very dark place in her life that presented many challenges for our family. Whatever trepidations I had about parenting before were now becoming amplified almost without reason. So during her 10th grade year, Wendy withdrew from high school, and that is when Pace Center for Girls became part of the dynamics for my family. I knew that Pace had existed, but really had no idea what it was all about. With a little research, the decision was made to get Wendy enrolled at Pace to continue the necessary academics. I admit that I was skeptical at first and remember thinking to myself, how could this be happening? All I really knew from my personal experience was the public education model, and therefore I was expecting that to be how my kids were raised. However, given our family's circumstances, Pace was the only option. Dark times continued for Wendy over time, even after she was enrolled at Pace, but it was also becoming very evident that Pace was helping. So with a little hesitation, I'm going to give you an example of what I mean and share one experience out of several that we went through. On one particular night, Wendy was in a crisis state and her whereabouts were unknown to the family. Fortunately, after a few hours, we were made aware of where she was and that she was safe, relatively speaking. I don't recall the specific details of who informed us or how she was located, but she had gone to the Pace building on 26th Street West and was found sitting in the alcove at the back door. I think it may have even been raining at the time. All I know is that I'm pretty sure the authorities were involved at this point, but I was allowed to try and intervene. All I can remember was going up to the school, sitting down next to her in the alcove, and trying to comfort her. However, Wendy was almost in a catatonic state and would not converse with me, so ultimately the authorities intervened accordingly. I use this as an example of the positive influence that Pace was having on Wendy because while she may have been in a crisis state at that time, she was able to find some refuge by getting to the school and knowing that, if nothing else, someone who understood her situation would be there in the morning to help. At the very least, that is how I perceive it. That experience was also the worst feeling of helplessness as a parent that I've ever experienced. As Wendy's time at Pace continued, her academic performance and psychological health both continued to show signs of improvement. Once she completed the requirements at Pace in 2010, Wendy returned to the traditional model of education at Palmetto High School to complete her senior year. Not only was she able to stay focused on her academic work now, but she became drum major for the marching band, which is a leadership role that would not have been possible for her prior to enrolling in Pace, and I could speak from drum major experience myself. Ultimately, Wendy ended up getting her GED, and almost immediately following this success, she sprouted her adulting wings to move forward in life. This included moving to Louisiana for about a year to live with her biological father and his family, working hard as a dedicated employee at several restaurants throughout the area, and she continued her education with college and also attended a trade school where she obtained certification as an HVAC technician. I really didn't see that one coming. And I'm still waiting to this day for her expertise in taking care of my own home AC unit. From there, however, she was led to her current employment with the Amazon Corporation, and I can tell you she loves it. She got married about 2 years ago, and just 5 weeks ago had her first baby. I literally returned from a trip to Cincinnati this past Sunday to meet my newest granddaughter, and this past Sunday, I'm reading my notes here, from meeting my newest granddaughter, and I'm happy to report that I'm not dreaming. As her father, I don't think I can be much prouder of who Wendy has become. Using Wendy's own words about her experience at Pace, I'm going to tell you that Pace allowed her to focus on her entire self, including her academic and emotional well-being simultaneously. They understood her behavior to be a symptom of a greater and deeper condition instead of a nuisance and a distraction. I never considered Wendy's behavior to be a nuisance or a distraction, but ultimately as a parent, I was not equipped to help get her through the troubling times she experienced. This was very frustrating for me despite having a tenured career that had some focus on caring for people in a crisis state. But then again, I'm Wendy's father, and that continues to be my role. So during the time she was enrolled, PACE was providing me the help that I didn't know I needed. And it actually took me thinking about what to share with you today to realize that. Life comes at us very fast, and because of PACE Center for Girls, Wendy made it, and so did I. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Okay, Richard, I'm scooting over. Okay. I'm Kim Daglish, and I am so honored to have been serving on the PACE board for several years now. I do believe, though, if Amy ever asked me to speak after these amazing speakers again, I think I might say no. Should have brought my tissues up here. Thought I might need more tissues. But I want to thank you all for joining us today, for supporting this luncheon, supporting PACE's mission, supporting the staff, and supporting the girls. You heard a number of stories today, many of which, most of which, all of which are heartbreaking, and there are so many more that you could hear. Let's see, you've heard how PACE impacts these girls, how PACE impacts families, and how PACE impacts the community. These young girls, as you have heard, have faced unimaginable hardships. They face things that no person should go through in a lifetime, much less little young children. You've heard that the average age of a PACE girl is 15, that she has experienced school failure, that she has experienced trauma, that she lives in poverty. You've heard how some of our PACE girls have run away from home, how they have suicide ideation, how they have a member or more than one member of their family incarcerated. And you've also heard that some are sexually abused, and how far behind they are in school. Many of our girls have been abandoned by the people who are supposed to love them and support them the most. So they need us. They deserve our love and our support because they choose to attend PACE. Well, okay, maybe not Rena. But most of them choose to attend PACE and they choose an education. They recognize that the easy path, which would be down the path of destruction, is not the path to success. What I want you to know about these PACE girls is they are brave. They are the most brave people on the planet for persevering in what they are doing to make life better for themselves. These girls have hopes and dreams, and they deserve to achieve these hopes and dreams. But they need help from people like us who are willing to lift them up, to tell them that they are worthy, that they have value, and that they have potential. The success of our PACE program is built on the foundation of individual donors who believe that every girl deserves opportunity for a better future, people just like you. On behalf of PACE Center for Girls Manatee, I want to thank you for investing in our girls and our amazing past PACE staff and our community. Thank you.
So on behalf of all PACE girls that we have had opportunity to grow at PACE, thank you for being here today. My name is Chriselle and I'm 29 years old. I am a wife, a mother, soon to be of 2 children in January. I'm an entrepreneur, founder, and owner of Ethereal Distribution, where we specialize in bringing the latest and most effective non-invasive aesthetic devices to the US market. I started at PACE when I was 14 years old, and at the time I was struggling with coping mechanisms, anxiety, depression, which did affect me academically. I returned to public school, but then found myself back at PACE 5 years later, needing a little extra push, and in 2013 I graduated from high school. Today, you have heard many stories about how PACE has helped girls like me, who 15 years later, here I am rearranging my business schedule, my childcare, even my husband's schedule, so that I could be here with you today, because PACE has transformed my life. Having that PACE team believe in me changed the trajectory of my life, the goals I pursued, how I believed in myself, and how I parent now. PACE has been changing girls' lives in Manatee County since 1989, and we know that when we change a girl's life, we change her family and the fabric of the community. Thank you for investing in future PACE girls.